Hey everyone, this is Mark from Stocks and Cash. It's February 21st, 2018. I'm here with your market update. I'm going to go over some holdings and then talk about some potential setups for tomorrow. Let's jump right in and look at the SPY. Whoops, I zoomed in here. So today we had kind of a shooting star type pattern, candle, although really the shooting star would be considered this candle here. Shooting stars typically happen at the top of trends. At the top of uptrends and signify a bearish reversal. So, I'm not saying we're completely there yet, but based on today's price action, it was really ugly at the end of the day. We sold off. I truly don't know what the Fed minutes said, but I do know that after 2 o'clock, we kind of rallied up higher, and then shortly thereafter, we just kind of plummeted and had a steady meltdown throughout the day. So let's take a look at that real quick. So here we are, let's see, at, 9:30, had a nice green candle. We opened up higher, we kind of meandered around, pretty normal trading day. The minutes came out down at the bottom, you can see 1400 here. That candle was strong. We had some a little bit of continuation here. Then we had this hammer type candle, and then boom, we had this bearish engulfing candle, I suppose. But regardless, whatever you want to call it, it was a bearish candle that kind of led to this downtrend with a really ugly black candle on high volume at the end of the day. So not looking too good for the bulls. I'm not going to say that we're definitely going to pull all the way back, based on this price action, but it was really ugly. You can see this downtrend started about 25 minutes after the minutes came out, and just pretty much relentlessly was down for the rest of the day. Let me get back. So, this was our warning area in terms of the yellow anyway, was our warning area in terms of seeing if we could get through these Fibonacci retracement levels and continue on higher. We got rejected. This turquoise color here indicates some Fibonacci resistance levels on the way down. Support levels on the way down. So just to show you I'm not making things up, that's from the bottom swing here to the top of this candle. We're approximately, this is the zone we're looking for potential bounce unless we keep on going through. So I am looking at some more pullback tomorrow, to be quite honest, based on that strong sell-off today. That being said, if you look at the volume overall, volume was pretty weak today, but a lot of sellers did come in the afternoon. That being said, we also closed on the 8 and the 55 EMA. So there was some support there, could we bounce? We certainly could. Could we keep on going down and reverse this little bullish trend we had? That's also a possibility, and quite honestly, that's the possibility I'm looking at some more. Maybe a pullback down to this 100 simple moving average. Markets typically go, A, B, C on reversals. So this would be your A, your B, and C somewhere down here. So I do think there's a potential for another leg down. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but there is a potential. Let's take a look at the Qs. And I guess before I do that, you can see the Stokes are starting to roll over here, which is bearish. MACD never quite really, maybe a little bit crossed over, but it's weak. It's not a strong conviction crossing over, kind of like we saw back here. Although that was kind of a parabolic run up, but still, you can see. Well, I don't want to just take some random snapshot, but this was kind of a convincing, crossover. We had a large bullish engulfing candle and then just continuation up, and MACD supported that move. Here, as I mentioned, MACD is not crossing over. It did try to, but it just, the market didn't have enough steam. The bears were winning, and so we're looking at a potential downturn. Maybe again testing the 100 could be worse than that. I don't know, but I would expect some decline tomorrow. And we could, tomorrow could happen. We could gap down, touch the 100, and bounce back up, and maybe we resume that that trend. Who knows? But that's something to look at. But I do think there's going to be some pain tomorrow morning. We'll see how volatility comes into the market with any kind of down move, and we'll just assess, where we stand. So taking a look at the Qs, not quite as devastating as the SPY. Let's take a quick look at the 5-minute here, and you can see the Qs also had a sell-off. Again, this is the 2 o'clock candle. And then again around 2:25, that's where the sell-off began. So still not looking so great on the Qs. I do think there's some potential to pull back, but we're sitting comfortably above our moving averages, well above the 100. So I'm not convinced that the Qs are completely going to roll over, but and MACD has crossed a little bit. But the Stokes are kind of rolling based on the recent price action of the last few days. So the Stokes are kind of giving us a potentially early indicator that we might be heading back down. So, just things to keep an eye out for. Talking about holdings, JP Morgan I got out of, 20% gain there. I was pretty happy with that. I actually got out earlier in the morning before we had this run up. Again, I can show you that real quick. We were kind of meandering in the morning, kind of in this range here. I set a sell for the above this candle. I got out of it here around noontime or so, 1 o'clock I guess, and it did go higher after the meeting minutes, but then it kind of fell down, so I was pretty happy I got out of there. Target, also kind of rolled over with the market, as you can see. Had a great big gap up in the morning. Wish I had sold, but I didn't. I am still holding Target. What else am I in? Oh, Microsoft. Another one that kind of had a nice start in the morning and then, rolled over. We are still above the 8 EMA, so I'm not panicked on Microsoft. I'm down about 9%. But again, Stokes are starting to roll over. MACD is not really convincingly crossing. So I'm a little concerned that Microsoft is going to roll. Walmart. This would have been an excellent 5-minute candle rule. I did not get into it. I wasn't looking at it. I wish I had been, but it is what it is. So let's take a look. So this was the opening of today on Walmart. We got a close below the low of that candle. This is where you could have gotten in. And then we just kind of trended down for most of the morning, and we did kind of bottom a little bit. We didn't have that crazy sell-off in Walmart like we did and some of the other stocks that we looked at, but I do see some more downside in Walmart. I did buy a couple of puts at the end of the day, and so we'll see what happens in Walmart tomorrow. Now, one thing, I drew the fib extensions like this yesterday, so we would be getting kind of close to our target of 90.74, which would line up with the gap. I'm assuming a weak market potentially, and so I think we'd come all the way down to around 87.56 or so, from about a $4 move down potentially. Probably not all at once, but we could get there if the market rolls over. So something to look at Walmart. Let's take a look at Alibaba, some potential setups. Now, this is not a trade that I'm saying that we should get into right now, but Baba seems to be setting up a head and shoulders pattern, a very clear one as far as I'm concerned. This is the left shoulder here. This is the right shoulder potentially forming, and we still need to have a rollover for confirmation. And then this is the head on the head and shoulders. So, we came up, came back down a little bit, tested highs, came back down, couldn't break above the left shoulder, and if we roll over and break below this neckline, we could really see a decline in Baba. So, this level here, this 164 or so, 165 level, if we break below there, certainly there's not a whole lot of support until, down here around 109. So, Yeah, I mean, and there's this gap here as well. And as I've mentioned before, gaps tend to like to fill. So 133 down to 126. You know, that's kind of a doom and gloom assessment of Alibaba, I admit. But it's just something to watch out for if the markets do roll over. But again, for now, I'm not suggesting anyone, short or long. I'm just taking a look and making an observation based on what I see. Now, some other potential options that you could make some plays on. Let's take a look. CVS. CVS has kind of been in a downtrend. You see it was back around 113.65 back in 2016. It's since come down all the way down to, low of 66 late last year, and it's kind of approaching those lows again. So it's rolled over. It was kind of basing here, showing some consolidation, broke through the consolidating area, and I think it has some more potential downside. Targets of 67.23, 63.45, and 58.58. Now again, this play assumes that the market's going to roll over. I mean, nothing says that it's going to for sure. It may not be a huge pullback. We might come back and test the lows that we had tested earlier, but I don't think getting into bullish trades right now is the wisest idea until we get through those stochastic levels. I'm sorry, through the Fibonacci levels that I drew on the SPY that I was talking about earlier. So if the market pulls back, here's some potential trades to get into. Let's take a look at CVX. Talked about this one a couple nights ago. It was forming this triangle, descending triangle, and it broke out of it today. Definitely some more downside potential on this one. I didn't actually draw the targets. Let me do that now in real time. So you can see I'm picking this candle here is the swing all the way down to the low on 2.5. And that could get us all the way down potentially 100 and even 91. So let me delete that one. That's not a good support line. Even this one. Oh, this one is pretty good. So this one lines up with the 100 exponential moving average. That corresponds to this pivot over here back in 2016. And we kind of meandered around that line a lot in 2017. So this would be a good target of 100 basically if we break through this 100% retracement level at 107 or so. Couple other potential trades. Johnson & Johnson. So Johnson & Johnson got rejected by the 21 EMA. It was forming this ascending trend line, broke through it today. Stokes are trying to roll over. MACD isn't quite crossing. RSI is not looking strong. So again, it just depends if the market itself, rolls over. But if it does, some potential targets to 122.11, 115.05, and then maybe 105 if things got really bad. So, truthfully, I'm only expecting if there is a rollover to come back down to this 100% retracement level. We'd get a double bottom type pattern and then move on back up, hopefully. So I'm not really expecting to get down to these extension levels, hopefully. It's more just trying to potentially have a double bottom and then bounce and be on our way. So just so you understand my perspective and what I'm thinking. Let's take a look at 3M. Pretty similar type stock compared to Johnson & Johnson in terms of the pattern. Stokes are trying to roll over. RSI is looking weak. MACD is getting rejected in terms of crossing over. Again, I think we could come back down to the 100% retracement here on 3M if the markets decide not to rally and roll over a bit. Another one that's looking pretty weak, ExxonMobil. Now, the only thing I'd caution here is that it's been weak for a very long, a short period of time, but extremely weak over that short period of time. We're talking February 1st to February 9th, so about 8 days. It went from a high here, what was the close? 89 all the way down to the close on this one was 75. I mean, so that's quite a big, you know, drop in such a short amount of time. But, you know, based on previous price action, there's certainly an opportunity for Exxon to keep going down. You know, maybe we just get to 100% retracement on this move. If we get through there, we could come all the way down to this support level, 71.38, or to the first fib level of 69.81. Again, I highly doubt we're going to come all the way back down to 64.47. Is it possible? It certainly is, but that would require the market to really roll over, and I'm not quite expecting that to happen right now. So, couple more potential plays. Verizon. Been in this downtrend, had some consolidation, broke through the 100% retracement. This one is, to me, ripe for the shorting. I'm very interested in getting into Verizon short if the markets cooperate tomorrow. Stokes are just getting into the oversold territory. As you can see back here, they can live here for quite a while. MACD is still clearly bearish. RSI has more room to go down as well. So Verizon looking very weak. I think it's a great potential play tomorrow if the markets start to decline. COG. We'll see if we get down to the 100% retracement. If we get through there, price targets of 21 approximately and 18.75. But COG has been pretty weak, consolidated, and it just is, you know, rolling over some more. So keep an eye on that. And one of the last ones, CPB, Campbell's Soup. We really punched through this support level here that's held for the last 3 years. So where this goes from here, I'm not quite sure. I'll need to do some more analysis. But, you know, big, strong bearish candle, pretty good volume on that move. MACD is crossed over bearish. Stokes are clearly down. RSI is down. You know, I think there could be some more downtrend in Campbell's. Perhaps we come up and test this level. I don't know. But, you know, ultimately I think we're heading down. And I guess I could draw the fibs like this, just to give us some potential targets. So first target of 42.22, second target of 40.63. Again, that assumes that the markets roll over some more. So just something to watch out for on Campbell's. And the last one, if the markets do not roll over, you know, let's say we get that bounce. If Netflix closes above this 287.46 line, our breakout level here, which we kind of touched today, you know, MACD would be positive most likely. RSI would be looking up. The Stokes would kind of remain up in the bought territory. And I think there's definitely some room up to 301 and 320. Now, again, that's assuming that the markets cooperate, but given that Netflix is such a powerhouse, if the markets do cooperate, this looks like a potentially good opportunity to get into. So I want to at least have one, you know, bullish play here because, you know, the markets are still kind of in an indecisive, setting right now. That's about it for tonight. If anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to leave something in the comments section. Good luck trading and have a great night.